What if the reason you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and unable to relax has nothing to do with how busy you are? Most people blame their schedule, their job, their relationships, their finances. And yes, those things are real, but here is what nobody is telling you. The actual problem is not the stress itself. It is what stress is doing inside your body every single hour you ignore it. Right now, as you watch this, your body may be producing a hormone that is slowly shrinking your brain, destroying your metabolism, wrecking your sleep, and making every emotion feel 10 times harder to handle. That hormone is cortisol. And chronic high cortisol is not just a wellness problem. It is a biological emergency that most people are living inside of without ever realizing it. Here is the part that stopped me cold when I first learned this. You do not feel high cortisol the way you feel a headache or a fever. You feel it as brain fog, as that low hum of dread that follows you everywhere, as the weird exhaustion where you are tired all day but somehow cannot sleep at night, as the belly fat that will not budge no matter what you eat, as snapping at people you love for no real reason. Sound familiar? Here is what I want you to know before we go any further. There are 3 specific habits, not supplements, not therapy, not a weekend detox, that can measurably lower your cortisol levels in hours. Real science, real biology, and you can start all 3 today. But the third one is the one I need you to stay for. It sounds strange. It goes against almost everything you have been told about managing stress, and it might be the single most important thing you learn this year. We will get to it. But first, you need to understand exactly what is happening inside your body, because once you see it clearly, you will never look at stress the same way again. Here is a number that should disturb you. 83% of American workers report feeling stressed at work. Not occasionally stressed, chronically, persistently, daily stressed. And that number has been climbing every single year for over a decade. But here is the thing about cortisol that makes this genuinely dangerous. Your body was designed to produce cortisol in short, powerful bursts. You encounter a threat, cortisol spikes, your heart rate rises, your muscles tighten, your focus narrows. You respond. The threat passes, the cortisol clears. Your body returns to baseline. That system is brilliant. That system kept your ancestors alive. The problem is that your brain cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional one. Your body responds to an angry email from your boss the same way it responds to a predator. The cortisol spike is real. The problem is the email does not go away. The deadline does not go away. The financial pressure does not go away. So the cortisol never fully clears. It just keeps layering, day after day, week after week. And over time, chronically elevated cortisol does something alarming. Research published in the journal Biological Psychiatry found that sustained high cortisol actually reduces the volume of the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. You are not just feeling worse. Your brain is literally changing. There is also what researchers call the cortisol trap. When cortisol stays high, it suppresses your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes rational decisions, plans ahead, and keeps your emotions in check. So stress makes it harder to think clearly about how to reduce stress. You get stuck. The cycle locks in. But here is the exit. So here is exactly how this works. Habit number 1, physiological sigh. It is the fastest biological reset your body has access to. You have probably done this involuntarily before. That deep, shuddering double inhale you take after you have been crying hard, or when something suddenly overwhelms you. Your body does it automatically because it is trying to fix something specific. And once you understand what it is fixing, you will use this on purpose for the rest of your life. When you are under stress, tiny air sacs in your lungs called alveoli start to collapse. This collapse causes a buildup of carbon dioxide in your blood, and elevated blood CO2 is one of the most powerful triggers for anxiety and panic that exists. This is actually why controlled hyperventilation can induce a panic attack. Your body is not broken when you feel that rising wave of dread. It is responding to a real chemical change. The physiological sigh reverses this in seconds. The first inhale begins to reinflate the alveoli. The small second inhale on top of it fully expands them. Then, the slow exhale activates the vagus nerve and triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for rest, repair, and calm. Researchers at Stanford studied dozens of breathing techniques and found the physiological sigh produced the fastest measurable drop in physiological arousal of any method they tested. Faster than meditation, faster than box breathing, faster than anything. Here is your action for today. The next time you feel stress rising, not when you are already at a breaking point, but the moment you notice the first sign, do this. Inhale deeply through your nose. Then, before you exhale, take one more short sniff on top of that inhale. Then, let it all out slowly through your mouth. Do that twice in a row. That is it. 2 breaths, 30 seconds. Your cortisol begins to drop immediately. The best part? You can do this anywhere. In a meeting, in your car, waiting in a line. Nobody will even notice, but your nervous system will. Now, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind, because later I'm going to show you how to stack this with the other 2 habits in a specific sequence that multiplies the effect. But first, habit 2, and this one works while you are doing something you already do every single morning. Here is something wild. One of the most powerful cortisol-lowering tools you own is already sitting in your bathroom. Habit number 2, cold water on your face. Before you dismiss this as a wellness trend from someone who takes ice baths at 4 a.m. and posts about it online, this is not that. This is a reflex your body has carried for hundreds of millions of years. It is called the mammalian dive reflex. When cold water makes contact with the skin around your eyes and nose, specifically that area, your body interprets it as submersion in cold water, and the biological response is immediate and dramatic. Your heart rate slows, your vagus nerve fires, blood flow redirects, your parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and cortisol drops. This reflex is so powerful that researchers studying freedivers found it capable of reducing heart rate by up to 25% in trained individuals. But you do not need to train for it. The reflex is automatic. It lives in you right now. You just have to trigger it. Here is the thing that makes this even more valuable than most people realize. Cortisol follows a predictable daily curve. It peaks within 30 to 45 minutes of waking up. This is called the cortisol awakening response. In healthy people, this morning spike is actually useful. It gives you energy and focus to start the day. But in people under chronic stress, that morning spike is already too high. And starting the day with an elevated baseline means everything that happens after that is amplified. Splashing cold water on your face first thing in the morning does not just make you feel more awake. It actively lowers that baseline. You are not just reacting to stress. You are proactively lowering the floor it builds from. Here is what to do. Every morning, before your phone, before coffee, before anything else, go to the sink. Splash cold water on your face 10 times. Focus on the area beneath your eyes and across the bridge of your nose. If you want to take it one step further, hold a cold, wet cloth over your eyes for 30 seconds. That is the full protocol. It takes under 2 minutes, and studies suggest that people who do this consistently report measurably lower anxiety within 3 to 5 days, not because of belief, but because their cortisol is actually lower. Send this to one friend who is always saying they are exhausted and stressed, not as a joke, because they genuinely may not know their body can do this. Now the next one. I need you to stay with me on this because it is going to sound strange at first, but once you understand the science, you will get it completely. Habit number 3, stress shaking. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a dog after something scared it? A loud noise, a near miss, something that startled it completely? What does it do? It shakes the whole body for 30 seconds, a minute sometimes, and then it is fine. It wags its tail and walks away like nothing happened. No lingering anxiety, no replaying the event, no residual tension, just done. That is not a coincidence. That is biology completing itself. Here is what is actually happening. When a threat occurs, stress hormones flood the body to prepare it for action. The cortisol, the adrenaline, the muscle tension, those are tools. They are supposed to be used and then discharged. In animals in the wild, they almost always are. The chase happens, the escape happens, the shaking happens. The hormones clear, life continues. Humans short-circuit this process. We experience the hormonal flood. The threat response activates fully, but then we sit at a desk. We suppress the physical response because we are in a meeting or a classroom or a car. We tell ourselves to calm down. We breathe and hold it together. And we believe the stress is gone because we stopped showing it. But the cortisol is still there. The adrenaline is still there. The unfinished stress cycle is still stored in your body, in your muscles, in your nervous system. And it accumulates week after week, month after month, until your baseline is so elevated that normal life feels unbearable. This is the science behind the third habit, and it is based on the work of Dr. David Berceli, a trauma therapist who spent decades studying stress and recovery across cultures. He developed a method called trauma release exercises, and at the core of it is the simplest possible idea. Let your body shake. Here is the specific action. Stand up, feet shoulder-width apart. Bend your knees just slightly, as if you were about to sit in a chair that is not quite there. Let your legs begin to tremble naturally. If they do not tremble on their own at first, gently bounce on your heels. Let the movement travel up through your hips. Shake your hands, roll your shoulders. Let your whole body move loosely for 2 to 3 minutes. Put on a song you like if it helps you relax into it. This is not exercise. It is not dancing. You are not trying to burn calories or look a certain way. You are giving your nervous system permission to finish what stress started. You are letting the cortisol discharge the way it was always designed to. People who practice this 3 to 4 times a week consistently report deeper sleep, lower background anxiety, and a physical sense of lightness they struggle to describe. Now you can describe it for them. Their stress hormones are actually lower because their body finally completed the cycle. So let me put this all together for you. Your body has been running a stress response designed for short emergencies inside a life that never stops delivering them. The cortisol built up, the cycles never finished, and you have been living inside that accumulation, probably for years. But now you have the tools. A double inhale and a slow exhale to clear your blood chemistry in seconds. Cold water on your face to trigger a reflex that has been inside you your entire life. And 2 minutes of intentional shaking to let your nervous system finally finish what stress started. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a body that is not already bracing for impact. Imagine getting through a hard conversation at work and feeling it actually leave you instead of carrying it home. Imagine lying down at night and having your mind go quiet, not because you forced it to, but because your cortisol is genuinely lower. That is not a fantasy. That is what a regulated nervous system actually feels like, and it is available to you. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 3 habits you are going to try first. I read every single one. Your nervous system is not broken. It has just been waiting for you to give it the right signal. And if you want to take this even further, watch this next video where I show you exactly what to eat in the first hour after waking up, because your morning meal either spikes your cortisol or steadies it, and most people are making the wrong choice without ever knowing it.